Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Midland Reporter Telegram's 3-5A football report. Well, I'm Len Hayward. I'm here with Sean Troy. Well, week one of the District 3-5A season is in, Sean. Abilene High, Abilene Cooper, Midland High all winners last week. The other three, boy, they could be in trouble after they lose this week. Just talk a little bit about that Lee-Cooper game last week. Number one, I was surprised that Lee was able to score that many points. Number two, how disappointing was that for Lee to have the kind of lead they did on them and come out of that thing with a loss?
Yeah, I mean that. A lot of times you throw around the term heartbreaking loss, but that one really seemed to be a heartbreaking one. Seeing those players come out of the locker room after the game, and you got the feeling where it was harder on them losing the way they did than if Cooper had just blown them out, because they get behind 14-0, then they come back in the second quarter, go into halftime ahead. And they shut Cooper out in the third quarter, and actually haven't given up a point in the third quarter all year this year. And so you feel like momentum's building in their favor, and then in the fourth quarter, Cooper just comes storming back and beats them, and that's just it's a pretty tough way to go down.
Of the three teams that won last week, which team and which victory kind of surprised you the most?
I couldn't say I was that surprised. I kind of expected all of them to go that way, even though I picked Lee to win. Maybe the most surprising thing was Permian wasn't more competitive with Midland High. I think it's pretty clear right now that Midland High has a lot more athleticism and talent right now than Permian, but just based on tradition and coaching, you'd think Permian would have been a little closer in that game.
Interesting game. We'll go right into Permian this week. They got the road trip to Abilene, Shotwell Stadium. They get to play Abilene Cooper. Permian's defense has had issues stopping teams. That's not good when you're playing Cooper. Is this a game where Coach Gaines feels like he's got to kind of try to do the same thing Morton did, is slow the game down, limit Cooper's possessions?
Yeah, that's what I talked to Coach Gaines earlier today, and I asked him what the key was going to be for their offense, and he just said stringing together drives, stringing together consecutive first downs. And when Lee was having its success on Friday, they had a drive where they had a handful of first downs, just running the ball, trying to kind of eat away at that clock and keep the ball out of the hands of the Cooper offense. And I'm pretty sure that's what Gaines is going to be trying to do this week.
Who wins?
Well, based on last week's results, it might get pretty ugly for Permian, but I don't know. I think it'll probably be a similar score to Midland High with Cooper beating Permian this time around.
Midland High picked up a big win last week against Odessa Permian. Not only was it a win, it was a dominating win. I don't think Midland High has done that to Permian in a long time. It was the first time they'd beaten them since 2005 in the first place, and that series has been so Permian dominated over the last 40, 50 years that it's been few and far between these wins for Midland High, and for them to do it like that was really surprising. Now they got to go back to Ratliff. They take on Odessa High. This is kind of a trap game for Midland High, isn't it?
Yeah, it could be, because with a player like Marquez on the other side, you fall asleep for too long, he's gonna take the game and run with it. And so yeah, this is definitely a game where Midland High has to keep doing what it's been doing so far, stick by its laurels, and if they do, they should come out on top.
The change at quarterback for Odessa High, I think they had Johnny Campos playing there last week. Is that going to make a difference for them, you think, going down as the season progresses?
Yeah, just because Ryan Rios has been so ineffective at quarterback, I think any change was going to be an improvement. What'll also be interesting, Odessa High ran some plays with Marquez alone in the backfield taking direct snaps, and I think he completed 5 passes somewhere in there. And so it'll be interesting to see if they expand on that, or if they cut back on that, depending on whether they thought it was successful or not.
Score. Who's going to win, and give me a score?
I would say probably 49-21 Midland High.
Okay. What about the score of Permian Cooper?
Cooper, you hate to predict a team to break 50, but they've done it at least 2 weeks in a row now, so maybe 55 to 24, something like that.
I like Cooper in that one. I think it's going to be 52-38. I think both teams are going to score a lot of points in that one. As far as Midland High, Odessa High, I think Midland High is going to have another dominating performance because they're going to make sure that Bradley Marquez does not beat them. I think Midland High is going to win that one 28-7. It's going to be a real low-scoring game because I think both teams are going to try to slow it down a little bit. Now, the game on Thursday night, Grande Communications Stadium, ESPN2, nationally televised. I think it's actually going to be televised in HD. Now, whether I want to see James Morton in HD, I'm not quite sure about that. Just kidding, Coach. But big game for Lee in a number of respects. Obviously, you're on the national television audience and all that. They're playing a team that's been on national TV, I think, maybe once or twice this season. But this is a big game for Lee because they don't want to go into an 0-2 hole. And, there are no mulligans, so to speak, in this district. And what does Coach Morton feel like they have to do to be able to win that thing on Friday? On Thursday.
I asked him, he was talking about the offense and how Herschel Sims kind of took that offense on his back in the Longview game. And so I asked him if the key was going to be to slow him down. And he said, no, actually the key is going to be stopping the quarterback, Ronell Sims, because he can throw well enough that you have to defend the pass, but he's also, he's a dual threat, so if you send more guys at him, you have to be careful because if he breaks contain, he's going to go run for a while. So, he said that Ronell Sims is really the one that makes the offense go, and so that'll, as far as the defense goes, the key is going to be trying to find a way to contain him.
So the biggest thing, and Lee still hasn't found a consistent running game. They're having to throw the ball probably a little bit more than they have to. Does Coach Morton feel like they have an opportunity to get some yardage against Abilene High and be able to score some points to keep up with them?
Yeah, I think he feels better about the running game going into this game. Maybe not so much because he feels like Abilene High has a weaker defense than Cooper, but they worked a little bit more with their three-back sets last week, and he said they've been putting in more and more plays with that. So he feels like, as far as their three-back sets are concerned, he feels like the offense is coming around there, and just add that element where you're not sure which guy's going to get in the backfield because they do have able running backs, but for whatever reason so far this year they just haven't broken out. So adding that extra element should help the running.
So is he going back to more of his traditional broken bone look? With Horton under center, or are they still doing a lot of stuff under shotgun or out of shotgun?
No, it's still almost exclusively out of the shotgun. The only time I really noticed him going under center was kind of in short yardage situations last week where Horton would sneak it for a touchdown or first down.
Okay. Who wins?
I think we're going to see a lot of what we saw last week. I don't think I'm ever going to see a blowout with this Lee team. So I don't know. I think it could go. I actually think it can go either way. But Abilene High will probably come out on top of this one, 42-35.
It's a similar score to what I was thinking. I think Abilene High is going to score 35 points. I think Lee. It's going to be 35-21 Abilene High. I still think the key, for Abilene High, Coach Morton has had some success against Coach Warren through the years in playoffs when he was at Monterey, and it's going to be that dynamic is going to be very, very interesting. And Lee's defense, I think, is disciplined enough that they may not let Ronell and Herschel get any big gains. Is that fair to say?
I don't know. If I hadn't seen the game last week, I'd agree with you. But they gave up so many big plays last week. I'm not sure what to think of the defense right now. They just had problems tackling it, and I don't know. I could see either Sims kind of shredding them this week. But if they get back to their fundamentals, then they could contain them.
Yeah, it's going to be a game where Lee has to play perfect football to have a chance to win this thing. But I still believe that somebody will beat Abilene High, whether it's this week. I don't think it's going to be this week, but I still think somebody's going to beat Abilene High, whether it's Cooper or Midland High. I think those are the two best opportunities. Where Abilene High, I don't think is going to go through this district undefeated, and I still think we're going to have issues with points at the end of the year. So remember the number 12. That's all I got to say. Just remember the number 12. Remember the number 12, Sean. Okay? Positive and negative 12. Remember that. That's all you got to remember about this district because you're going to need to know it on week 10. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here. I'm Len Hayward and Sean Schroyer. Thank you for joining us here on the Reporter Telegram's 358 Football Report.